We're not live yet, guys. We're just testing stuff. Hold on. Okay, it's good. That's actually really cool. That's actually really cool. We're not live, huh? Who's here? Slay Queen Dallas. Stream. Are you dead ass? Alright, but we are not live yet. We're just gonna get things ready. So. Alright. See y'all in 3 minutes. I don't know where to put this, so I'm just going to put this right here. But see y'all in 3 minutes. Thank you all for joining me in the stream. And I was about to talk. Motherfucker. Okay, serious mood now. Alright. Thank you all for joining this stream. Today is the Big Meli update for October 13th, 2017. This presentation will be updates on animation and original movies. There will be no updates on third-party content, including the Jungle Movie News and collabs. With that being said, let's get into this. Now, let's talk about the first upcoming movie that's coming next year from World of Meli, Meli Tales of the Void. It will be a completely animated movie, and it's coming summer. We're going to show you a trailer. It's going to be the same trailer we released at the beginning of the summer. However, it's going to be different animations and different text to fit the movie, and it's basically what the movie is now. So, please take a look at this. can tell half of y'all left because y'all realize I'm being serious because half of y'all left. But this is the latest trailer for the new World of Meli original movie, Meli Tales of the Void. Now, after this, we're going to show you some concept art. But before we get into it, let's talk about it. So, basically, the essential plot of Meli Tales of the Void is that it will be where the Void is basically this paradise. It's a perfect paradise. Nothing ever goes wrong. There is no evil. There's just only good. And there's very few people in this place. However, evil finally invades the Void, and that's what this movie is going to be about. It's going to be where good finally meets evil. And the result of that is going to be hell, okay? We plan to do a movie trilogy out of this, actually, so expect more from this series in the future. But let's go through some concept art and meet our cast. So here's concept art of the main character, which is obviously Meli. I mean, I wonder who he's supposed to represent. But Meli Tales of the Void concept art, Meli. He will obviously be voiced by Meli Salcido. And now the special thing about all these characters, except for one, is that there will be, every single one of them have special powers. And if you haven't watched the World of Meli movie, don't, because it's really cringy. But basically, at the end of the movie, I get the power to create, basically, and that's going to be used here. Just the power to create is in Meli. It's just, He's, of course, voiced by myself. Well, let's move on to the next concept art, and we actually meet a few interesting cast members. And this is Hooded Figure. He is one of the other residents in the Void, and he is voiced by my good friend Devin Johnson. He has appeared on the channel multiple times before, actually at the beginning of the channel's history. He was a co-host of the channel, such as myself. He's not the co-moderator anymore. He has his own channel with some of his other buddy. Some of the other friends, this is what I'm trying to say, and I have some confusion in the chat. This is a different movie, okay? The World of Meli movie, that's a completely different movie besides this one. This is an animated movie that's a live-action movie. And Hooded Figure, basically, he's the magician of all of them. He, can get up some potions and stuff like that, and he's basically dead inside, and that's what I told Devin to act, when he's acting, just sound a little dead inside, but don't at the same time. You still gotta keep it go lucky and cheerful and stuff like that. But Hooded Figure, his power is basically mage and magician stuff, and he's always looking out for his friends. He may not seems like he hates everyone, but in reality he loves everyone. He wants to look out for them, you know? I mean, there's always people like that in your life. Anyway, next we have Maddie, and this is actually a new character we introduced this year to the World of Meli. She hasn't appeared much, but she has been beans, okay. She has been introduced this year. We haven't used her much. But basically, I want to explain Maddie, because y'all are confused, because on Instagram I'm doing this event. It's called Meli and Maddie Spooky Arttober, where I draw these characters in a different art style every day. Y'all are confused, who's this bitch? Basically, essentially, she's just a player 2 to Meli. She's basically, you know how Mario games where you have player 1 is Mario and player 2 is Luigi? That's basically this. But Maddie, she has the power to, she's super athletic, as you can tell by shorts. That means athleticism, obviously. It's called Ain't Tough, shut the fuck up. But basically, Maddie's superpower is athleticism, and she is the princess of the Void. Even though there's no monarchy, she has declared herself princess of the Void. So basically, she technically rules over everything, but in reality, she doesn't. She's good friends with everyone, and really, that's essentially her character. She is best friends with Meli, and no romantic subplots, thank God, because I should not be the one writing those. But I like her design. Fun fact, she's actually my favorite character to draw out of But yeah, she is voiced by no one. She is available for audition, which we will get into later in this presentation. Next, we have Marshall, which is probably the least characterized person in this movie. Because in the original trailer at the beginning of the summer, he was the main 3. It was Meli, Hooded Figure, and Marshall. And I think you can tell that this design is basically ripped from Rhythm Heaven Fever, because the original plan from when Meli Tales of the Void was a series, the original plan was like the first episode would be just like a Meli adventure where just things get crazy, and like he hasn't discovered his power to create yet, so he just stuff randomly appears and just antic of the week essentially. And then the second episode would have been a hooded figure episode where they're trying to track down these certain creatures called smiley flowers, and they think that they're basically the cause of everything weird that's happening in the void. And then the Marshall episode would have been just basically Rhythm Heaven recreation, such original content. And that this is one of the reasons why we canceled this series originally. It's because there was no creativity in there. But we fit Marshall in there. He runs a music shop with his other friends, Cam and Ribbon, his girlfriend. Yeah, they're just Rhythm Heaven characters. If you don't know them, they're just Rhythm Heaven characters, to be honest. You gotta be... I know. That's what they are. He's voiced by my friend Ryan Russo, which I don't have any pictures of the cast members in this presentation, but just know that we have voice actors besides me. Meli, you can't do that. I know. I feel so bad, but he fits into this world so well, and that's why we're keeping him in. Anyway, let's move on. Katie. She is essentially Hooded Figure's partner in... And I dropped my thing. She's Hooded Figure's partner in his like crazy experiments, and then in the tracking down of the creatures, the smiley flowers. She's his partner. And she has her own weapon. This is her power. It's this... Whoosh. Whip. I stopped watching Voltron for this. I'm sorry. She's Hooded Figure's partner. We don't have her character fully fleshed out yet, but she's also available for audition. Every single female character in this presentation, they're all available for audition because no girl watches World of Meli. So, we're going to get into the auditions in a minute, but I think that's the final good character. How about we get into the malicious villains, shall we? All of our villains have been cast. Alright, you ready? Oh, frick. Alright. Our first main villain of this movie is Blitz. He is a fiery piece of garbage. I can tell you can barely see it in the thing, but I'll post this concept part later. But he is basically a giant ball of flame, and if you saw in the trailer in the first animated footage, this is the guy. That was him. He is basically royal, perfect, like, no one can beat me, I am imperfect, I'm better than my boss, basically, I am, like, perfect, like, he's so musical, like, I hope to get a song in with him, and, like, basically that's gonna end, in the series, that was gonna end up being his downfall. Like, he had such a big ego, he was so full of himself that Meli, Maddie, Hood Figure, and everyone else, they used that to his downfall. And I want to compose some music for this guy, because he's also kind of musical. So if y'all have any music suggestions, let me know. He's voiced by my friend Drake Casey. And he auditioned for this part really early. It was first me, then Devin, and then Drake. So he's been on this team since the beginning, essentially. So I think y'all are going to like his interpretation of this character. Let's move on to our next villain. Tumble. And his power is basically throwing Dwayne the Rocks. If you don't know who Dwayne the Rock is, first of all, you need to catch up on World of Meli. Second of all, he's basically my pet rock, and he's just this random character that appears every now and then. And that's his power. He just throws Dwayne the rocks everywhere. That's Tumble, more like Tumblr. Yes. But instead of being just like a little rock, they weigh tons. Like he may seem small, but he's about as big as a two-story house, essentially. All the heroes are normal size. Like, I'm my normal size, about 5 feet. He's about as big as a two-story house. He's huge, okay? And these Dwayne the Rocks, they weigh tons, and they hurt. But he doesn't talk much, and that's the good part. We originally had him just have a deep voice like this. Like, if you've seen the World of Meli movie, it's basically Chevron's voice, but we just got it down to grunts. And of course, I'm going to do the grunts to save y'all the trouble of auditioning for that. We've had auditions for this, it was weird. But it's basically just grunts. He doesn't really have a personality. He's just a rock. Next. And this is our final character art for the day. Now this one, y'all are going to laugh at this one, but hear me out. Evil Meli, voiced of course by myself, but I intend to have a little more powerful speech vocals to this, and yet ominous at the same time. Like, he doesn't really have a power. Like, he has the same power, but the opposite of Meli, which, while Meli has the power to create, Evil Meli has the power to destroy. It was, if you watch, I know I'm plugging this in a lot, but if you watch the World of Meli movie, it's basically that. But he's not strong at all. Like, he may have the power to destroy, but he doesn't have the power to erase entire worlds like Chevron did. So, to make up for it, he's smart. Like, he can outsmart anything. Like, he's basically, like, he's almost more powerful than his boss just because of his brains. Like, he can outsmart anything. He can manipulate y'all to get on his side. He's like a powerhouse. Like, how do I explain? If you've seen Rick and Morty, I know, like, I doubt any of you have seen it. You have to have a certain IQ to understand Rick and Morty. And 2 episodes of that basically equals a Harvard education level. But if you've seen Rick and Morty all the way through, you know Evil Morty. It's like that, but a little tweaked. It's not the exact same thing, but that's like the closest comparison I can get to it. Like, he's not strong, he's smart. And that's just going to be scary. And there's going to be one more villain, but we're not going to show him today because he's basically the end-all be-all. He's just going to be the main antagonist throughout the entire trilogy. And I think that's it. Oh, let's talk about this audition stuff. Because I've been getting a lot of questions about auditioning for Meli Tales of the Void. And I know I've been teasing this. I'm saying, look, I'll give y'all more information in November, okay? I'll give y'all more information in November. Well, forget November. We're doing it now. We're going to give y'all information on how you can audition for Meli Tales of the Void. It says, want to be part of Meli Tales of the Void cast? Send a demo reel of your part to sensei1meli@gmail.com. Preferably in Google Drive because it's easier for me, or at Famicom_Master_333 on Instagram. But once again, the most preferable thing to send it in is in Drive. Send your audition reel to those 2 locations. This is not a paid opportunity. I must stress that this is not a paid opportunity. You are not going to get paid for this at all because I'm broke. And if you want to get paid, you're going to get paid a penny. Because I'm broke, okay? This is simply for fun and voluntary. If you want to be a part of this, you can. You will most likely, for certain, get in unless there is an audition better than yours. It's basically, yeah. It's just like a regular audition. I want a penny. You're not getting paid shit. Your role will be displayed on a spreadsheet through Drive. Italicized text means you're not the final choice, but your role has been sent and I have viewed it. While underlined text indicates that you are the role of that character you chose. Basically as you made it in. You're that character, no questions asked. Remember, I stress this again, this is not a paid opportunity. Okay, but once again, that if you want to be part of the Meli Tales of the Void cast, send your demo reel to sensei1meli@gmail.com or at Famicom_Master_333 on Instagram. Those are my most active places. I check my email every day, and those are my most active social medias. Alright? And this is what the spreadsheet... Oh my god, you can't see it at all. It's just a... I can see it on the screen. It's just like a white line. But this is what the spreadsheet looks like. It's just a spreadsheet, okay? I can't do anything about that. But I do think that's it for Meli Tales of the Void. How long have we been streaming? Oh my god, we've been streaming for 20 minutes. This is taking longer than I thought. But, let's move on to our next topic. Seaside the series. Let's talk about this. Because in June, I think it was June 3rd to be precise. It wasn't June 3rd. I know it was in June, but in June of this year, the pilot for Seaside the series premiered to around 50 viewers. It was around the same viewership that Circle and Square's pilot had. It was a huge success. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people actually liked this better than Circle and Square due to the fun nature and like the most relatable stuff. Like the jokes were cool, and we just go with the flow with this series. And this series has been on hiatus since then. There's not been a single episode or news at all about this series. And that ends today. We're going to talk about this series right now. So first, this was just here so I can like talk about it, but we're going to talk about this series right now. I can confirm that the next episode is called The Admirer. Seaside and Abigail notice Emily having goo-goo eyes for Rocky, so they try to get them together, and that's basically going to be the essential synopsis of the next episode, The Admirer. Emily will be head over heels for Rocky throughout the entire series, and just that concept alone opens so many stories to be told in the Seaside world, and this character is one of my favorites in this series, and I hope to do a lot with her. Basically, there's going to be a little subplot going on between this character and another character that I'm sure all you LGBTQ community members, y'all are going to enjoy that, because it's quite sad and tragic, but it's relatable too. It happens in the real world. And Seaside the series, that's what it's about. It's just explaining what happens in the real world, like no questions asked, but in a like lighthearted, cartoony way. But this series isn't going to be afraid to do anything. It's not going to be afraid. There's going to be stuff about abduction. There's going to be stuff about depression, suicide, and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot for y'all to handle. There's not going to be anything detailed, but it's going to handle this stuff, and I think it's going to handle it well. I mean, that's just my part. Kind of biased, don't you think? Yeah. But enough about that. Let's talk about another episode of Seaside the series that I know for certain is coming out this year. Now let's talk about the upcoming half-hour winter special called The Lost One. Half hour, my dudes. We're getting up there already. So basically what this special is going to deal with, I mentioned it just literally a couple seconds ago, it's going to deal with suicide. My friend Mary Pierce over here, she's Mary Pierce, she's a character, she's going to be a recurring character throughout the series, and this is going to be her big debut in the first half-hour special of any of my shows, actually. This is going to be the first half-hour special to come from World of Millie. But basically, she is depressed, she's lost in the world, like, she doesn't know her role in the world anymore, and like, she doesn't know what to do anymore, and she's just giving up, hence the name The Lost One. And so Seaside sees this and she tries to help her. But basically she just rejects his help throughout the entire episode, and he tries to wriggle around that. She just becomes so depressed at the point of suicide, and like he has to try to get everyone to help this girl because she's like in trouble. She needs this help. She needs to be happy again. And it's a really cool concept that I really wanted to toy around with ever since I greenlit this series back in 2015. And I really want to do this, and it's gonna happen. It's a half-hour winter special, and it's not necessarily a Christmas special, so that's why I'm calling it a winter special, because it's not really about Christmas, but it is winter themed, so that's why, yeah. And the subplot in this episode will involve Emily, coincidentally, as well as Millie and Maddie. Those are characters in this series as well. Originality, I know, okay. Nothing to do with Millie Tells the Void, but they're going to be in the episode, but the subplot of this episode will have Emily, she's going to be running the basically Winter Wonderland dance, and she's trying to make it super perfect because she actually got Rocky to agree to go with her, whether it was by force or not, but he still agreed to go with her. So she's trying to make it as perfect as can be, and she's trying to get like all the bands together, like the school band and stuff. She's trying to get like everyone, she's trying to make it perfect as can be for her darling Rocky. And that's going to be this special. There's another special coming out. Let's take a look at this. Soon. But, do you recognize that silhouette? Ladies and gentlemen, and viewership of World of Millie, I am proud to announce a collaboration with the Hey Arnold series to bring a crossover between Seaside the series and Hey Arnold. It is called The Football Head. It is an episode that is going to be coming this season. We don't have an exact date. It's early in production. And it's going to happen. There's going to be a crossover between Seaside the series and Hey Arnold, of all things. And I'm actually really excited to do this. I'm not actually collabing with any of the production crew on Hey Arnold, sadly. But I do have permission to use these characters, and that is really cool. And I think this is going to be really cool, depending on how the Jungle movie plays out. This is definitely not going to be canon to the Hey Arnold series, obviously, but basically the essential plotline we got mapped out is that On the way to San Lorenzo, Arnold and friends have to make a pit stop in we don't actually have a town name for Seaside's town, but basically they make a pit stop in Seaside's town on their way to get like fuel for their plane and stuff like that. So they go wandering around, and they eventually stumble upon Rocky Way Middle School, and they just chill and they have a good time. It's not going to be a half-hour special, but it is going to be longer than the average 8-minute episode. But I am really excited for this. Like, I actually get to work with the Hey Arnold characters. It's not going to be voice acted, obviously, but this is going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, and I cannot wait to show this to you, okay? Even the trailer, I can't wait to show this. But this isn't the only crossover coming from Seaside the series. Oh no! Take a look at this. This is not the only crossover. Circle and Square versus Seaside. This is what these two series are building up to. This is going to be canon in both series. Ladies and gentlemen, like my two families, I guess, coming together for one big adventure. Like, Seaside the series is just going to be full of these crossovers. Like, they're going to cross over once, that's it, but this is exciting. This is actually really tear-jerking for me, seeing two of my families just come together and do this on one big adventure. They're gonna cross worlds. It's not just gonna be a field trip to Rocky Way or something like that. No, there's gonna be time travel. There's gonna be answers to some weird questions y'all have, like, where the heck is Circle and Square set? Like, is it an apocalyptic world or something? Like, some of y'all actually asked that, and this is gonna answer that question. Spoiler alert, yes it is. And the series finale I have planned out for Seaside the series actually links this to that. But enough about that, no spoilers. But basically the entire crew of Circle and Square, like Circle and Square, Rectangle, Oval, Terra, Diamond, not Hairdryer, he's dead. Y'all know what happened to him if y'all caught up. But like everyone, they use Square's new time travel device to go to the past and see what it's like. And it turns out that the past is Rocky Way Middle School. And it turns out Earth was the past of Shapeland. And the time machine breaks and they have to find a way home. Because they take Seaside and friends to Shapeland to stop a villain from Seaside as well as a villain from Circle and Square, teaming up to take over both worlds. There's going to be some falling out. They ain't going to be getting along so well. But this is going to be fun, okay? I don't want to spoil everything, but they're going to be crossing worlds, okay? This is going to be fun. It's going to be weird, and it's going to be fun. Circle and Square versus Seaside, also did I mention, is a 45-minute special episode of Circle and Square. It's not an episode of Seaside the series. It's a special episode of Circle and Square. It's technically the first three episodes between an upcoming arc and another upcoming arc. It's like filler basically, but it's not filler, it's actually plot. So you understand, right? But I'm super excited for this crossover, and I'm super excited to actually announce this. And that's going to be it for Seaside the series. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Seaside the series returns this November with Season 1, Episode 2, The Admirer. This has been a ride just talking about Seaside the series. But now, we're going to move on to what y'all have all been waiting for. Let's talk about Circle and Square. Oh wait, no, we're not talking about that yet. Let's take a look at some upcoming short animations coming from World of Meli. Here are some upcoming short animations. Which first coming is This Is Gospel, short animation. It is a really sad animation actually. It is really sad to make for me, but it's going to be an animation consisting of Meli, not Meli Tales of the Void, like Meli Origins basically. It's going to be based on that. It's going to be based on the upcoming half-hour winter special, the lost one from the Seaside the series. And it's going to be based on a recent episode of Circle and Square called Change Fate. That's what this animation is going to be based on. It's going to be to the tune of Nate Wants the Battles cover of This Is Gospel by Panic at the Disco. It's going to be really sad. I've actually cried a little making it, but I can't wait to show that to you. This isn't the final title, but it's called You're Adopted. If you remember, way earlier this year, I released an animation called The Salt and Pepper Diner. It's going to be similar to that. And then the Circle and Square extended opening credits. That's going to be something. I'm pretty sure that's self-explanatory. And we finally get a sequel to the Dwayne The Rock short animation. It's called Dwayne The Rock in the Wild. And it's going to be fun. He's going to be in the wild. Can't wait to show you all that. But let's move on to Circle and Square. So Circle and Square recently had its 3 Circle and Square episodes. We're just going to call it a Circle and Square bomb. And it was called Circle and Square Wand Rebellion. It was supposed to be the mid-season finale to Circle and Square. But all 4 episodes didn't really release because I had to split the last episode in half because it was too long. And I didn't finish it in time, and I had to scrap it, and I had to delay it, basically. It's not scrapped. But that episode's still coming out, don't worry, and we're actually going to talk about it a little today. And we're actually going to show you footage of that episode. But first, we're not going to talk about the series of Circle and Square. Hold on. We're not going to talk about the series of Circle and Square. We're going to talk about the movie first. Yes, there's going to be a Circle and Square movie. I released the teaser trailer for this a couple days back. The teaser trailer for Circle and Square the movie. Hold on. Circle and Square the movie. Coming soon-ish. Because at the time I didn't have a definitive release date for that, but it is coming soon-ish. We're going to give you that release date soon. But let's talk about Circle and Square the movie. Pack your popcorn and get ready for another World of Millie original movie. Get ready for Circle and Square the movie. A feature film based on the World of Millie original series Circle and Square. The movie will be a prequel to the series and will detail many things and many mysteries that have been laid out within the 7 episodes that have been released so far. Such as how Hairdryer landed on Shapeland and his relationship with the recently introduced villain Blue Decagon. As well as Circle and Square's parents and what happened to them. The movie will mainly focus on the very first adventure and will take 10 years before the events in Season 1, Episode 1, The Adventure Begins. Circle and Square, the movie, is coming to World of Millie December 2018. So it will be the last major event of next year. We have it mapped out. We're ready to go. We're ready, Freddy. And I know y'all can't see it well, but this is the teaser poster for Circle and Square, the movie. The tagline is the first adventure. It's just like, it's the door to the throne room of Blue Decagon, which we will look at in a minute. But yeah, this movie will be a prequel to the series, and I hope y'all are excited for that. So let's look at some concept art. This is Circle. Y'all can't see it at all, but this is Circle's concept art. Since it takes 10 years before the events of the actual series, Circle is around 10... He's around 10 to 14 years old in this. In the series, he's in his early to mid 20s, and this is what he looks like as a 10-year-old. It's not really anything drastically different. He's scared. Okay, when he was a kid, he was really scared, and that was a dynamic, I guess. Like now, he's super confident in the series, but when he was a kid, he was like the scaredy cat. It was something. And let's look at Square now. Y'all are going to be genuinely surprised at this, but here's Square. Oh, wow, y'all can't see it at all. Here, let me. Maybe that'll work. Whatever. Well, I guess I can just detail on what it says, but that helps a little. But Square has glasses, basically. When he was a kid, he had glasses, big, bulgy glasses. It was a sight to see when he was a kid. And basically, nothing too different. He's still the nerd. He's actually still making his tech stuff. He's really friendly with his mom, and like Circle's really friendly with his dad. Like they have their own thing going on together. Like his mom praises his work in the tech lab, and then his dad praises Circle in the kitchen, basically. And that's really going to be really happy. And I have not decided what I want to do with Circle and Square's parents. I don't know if I want to kill them off. I know that sounds really dark, but I seriously don't know if I want to kill them off, or did they move away or something, like they're taking on the world on their own, or something like that, or are they missing? Who knows? I don't know. I have not decided what I want to do with their parents yet. But let's move on to the next piece of concept art. Hairdryer. This is young Hairdryer. eyebrows are really thick. I know you can't see it, but when Hairdryer was younger, his eyebrows were really thick. He has the insignia of blue decagon on his side, and his little, I don't know what it's called, it's like a tube, something. His tube was smaller. And he's really angry. He does not trust anyone at first. Like, he basically, he got outcasted by his society, basically. His society, all he knew was Blue Decagon's army, and basically, she lost trust of him. They were really good friends, but then she lost trust of him, and she kept beating him, like, and basically keeping him hostage, and he finally escaped, and she went paranoid, and like, "Hey, Dryer, I will find you! I will kill you!" Something like, "You will be my prisoner," like, and he doesn't know where to go. He just keeps flying. He runs out of gas, and then he crash lands into Shapeland, and Circle and Square find him. He does not trust anyone at this point. He's broken, okay? He's going through some things, and the last main character, besides Circle and Square's parent, side characters, and the villains, is Pentagon. She's a recently introduced character in Circle and Square. She was recently introduced in Season 1, Episode 5, called Ruined Shapeland, and it turns out she is the leader of the Wand Rebellion. A rebellion formed to stop Diamond at his reign and destroy the Shapeland Wand, sort of what Circle and Square have been trying to do. But anyway, enough about the series, we're talking about the movie. She has a gap in her teeth. And I know this is going to be a little awkward, but we decided this early. We decided this way early on that because we introduced Circle and when we first introduced Pentagon in the series, there was that scene where she's crying as soon as she sees Circle, and then as soon as they see each other, they go up to each other like real close, like, "You're alive," and they're crying, and they're blushing a little, but they're crying. And we have to explain that somehow. Basically, Circle and Pentagon basically used to date. They were dating for a really long time. They were their first kiss and each other like that. Like, they were their first girlfriends, their girlfriend and boyfriend for years now. Like, they were dating at least a couple years before the events of this movie. And basically, everyone is pissed at them because they're doing PDAs everywhere, basically, because they discovered what kissing feels like and they can't stop. And that's essentially why they had to break up, and that's why they're not together. But they care about each other very deeply. They're basically best friends, and they care about each other very deeply, and they would literally be broken and lost if one or the other died. It would be over for them. But basically, Pentagon's role in this movie, if you remember in Circle and Square, she mentioned that she had the power to mage. Right, so she joined Circle, Square, and Hairdryer on the first adventure. She's basically their mage, their magician, and she can, like, sense stuff. She can sense what enemies are nearby and stuff like that. But what's the first adventure going to be? Well, it's going to start out, like, trying to get Hairdryer home, kind of like E.T., but then they find out why he doesn't want to go home. So then they try, like, Blue Decagon comes to Earth, and they have to try to protect Hairdryer. So that's basically what this first adventure is going to be. Remember, everyone's kids in this one. So this is just going to be kids taking on a huge tyrant. That hasn't been done before, right? Alright, here's the main character lineup. I know you can't see it. Here, wait, I can turn this camera around. Oh, let's turn it around. Turn it around. Turn it around. There we go. Here you go. It's the main character lineup of Circle and Square, the movie. Yeah, that's their parents. Their parents are literally a Circle and Square, but we'll get to them in a minute. Here's Circle. You can finally see Square, but here's Circle. He's the shortest of the bunch, obviously. Except for Rectangle, he's obviously short, but he's the shortest of the bunch, and then his brother Square. Circle and Square are twins, obviously. Hairdryer will always be a little taller than Circle and Square no matter what. Pentagon, she is so happy with that little gap in her teeth. It's so adorable. Like, she's adorable, but she's tomboy at the same time. And this is Circle and Square's parents, Sierra and Angle. And Bo, they're so wonderful together. They're made for each other. And then Oval and Rectangle are basically their older cousins. They're around like 14 years old. Yeah, they have a couple years on Circle and Square, but age don't matter in this world. Equal opportunities. It's not based on age whatsoever. Wish it was like that in the real world, honestly. Real world fucking sucks when it comes to age, especially high school. It sucks. It gets bad. I know some of y'all aren't in high school yet who are watching this, but it gets bad. And I know some of y'all are homeschooled. Be glad you're homeschooled, because it gets bad. But let's look at some actual concept art. Here is the Shapeland Towers of Circle and Square the movie, and I guess I gotta turn this camera around again. I should probably just keep it turned around. But here are the Shapeland Towers from Circle and Square the movie. Now, you notice the huge tower isn't there, and this will be explained in an upcoming episode, so I don't want to spoil anything, but the middle tower is not huge, and if you look closely, it says Roses and Angles Shapeland Store. So we'll explore that in an upcoming episode of Circle and Square. I think it's actually in like 2 or 3 episodes, actually. So look forward to that. And then this is our last piece of concept art from Circle and Square, the movie. Blue's throne room. We gotta take a look at both sides of the spectrum. We gotta go into space, and then we go to Earth. So this is what Blue's throne room looks like. This is a rough sketch. This is nothing final. But it's gonna be a lot bluer, obviously. But this is what her throne room looks like. This little speck right here is supposed to be a hairdryer. He's waiting for blue decagon, and it's just really cool looking. Space is really cool if you catch my drift. But enough about that. Don't know if it turned around yet. It did. So I cannot wait to release this movie. This movie is going to be really fun to make. Obviously, you can tell I'm really excited. All right, but are you ready for a new Circle and Square trailer? I can tell all 0 viewers of you are. The new Circle and Square trailer, this is in no way related to Circle and Square the movie. I believe there's like 1 small second scene from Circle and Square the movie in here. Like 1 small second. You can tell because of like the shading or something. Like, we haven't decided what frames per second we want it at, but to like get an idea, like the special animations such as like the Salt and Pepper Diner and the intro run at 5 frames per second, while normal series such as Seaside the Series and Circle and Square run at 4 frames per second. I think what we want to do is we're going to have Circle and Square the movie as well as Millie Tales the Void. They're either going to be 5 or 6, with 6 in some sections, or 6 and 7 in some sections. We don't know, but the frame rate's going to be up. Don't worry, it's going to be up. But are you ready for a new Circle and Square trailer? This is the mid-season trailer for Circle and Square Season 1, because after To the Top, which is the next episode that got delayed, Circle and Square Season 1 Part 1 will be over, and that's going to be done. My goal of completing Season 1 by the year's end, that's not looking too bright, but most of Season 1 will be done by the year's end. There's going to be 20 episodes in this season, and I hope y'all are ready for that. But anyway, here's a brand new trailer for Circle and Square the movie. No, it's not for Circle and Square the movie. Here's a brand new trailer for Circle and Square Season 1 Part 2. It's the mid-season trailer. It's using the same music as the Season 1 trailer initially released at the beginning of last year. But, here we go. Alright! And that is the mid-season trailer for Circle and Square. Or the trailer for Circle and Square Season 1 Part 2. Whichever one rolls off the tongue better, but I'm just going to call it the mid-season trailer for Circle and Square Season 1. Or, I haven't really decided what I want to call it. But, here, let's talk about it. So, Circle and Square Season 1 Part 1 is going to essentially change everything. After To the Top, like, since the beginning of the series, actually, we've been teasing this huge bad guy. We don't have any Actually, no, let's go back. Let's go back. Hold on. Ignore that. Let's go back. Let's get that footage. Alright, here he is. Alright, so this is Dodecagon. He's basically going to be the main antagonist throughout the entire series. Dodecagon means 12-sided shape, is what it essentially means. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 12-sided, okay? I counted it once. I think the I counts as one line, but whatever. He's a dodecagon, basically, hence the name. And blue decagon is a 10-sided shape, which is why decagon. But basically, after To the Top, they destroyed the wand successfully. Spoiler alert, but there's going to be the rest of the series. You gotta know that they're going to win, but the wand gets destroyed. However, they are completely unaware of the consequences of this action, because after they destroy the wand, everything changes. From that moment on, the series gets darker. With every single one of the objects gets destroyed, he gets stronger. He's imprisoned in Dimension X, which is basically going to be the prison from now on for every single Big Meli villain that gets beaten, I guess. But he's imprisoned in Dimension X, sealed there, locked up tight in a ball about this big. And the only things that's keeping him from breaking out of that prison and then causing chaos across all timelines, all of the universes, are these 4 objects. However, if they are destroyed, he is free. And with each one he's destroyed, he gets access to dreams. He gets access to like spiritual summoning and stuff like that. He can be able to be summoned spiritually, dreamily, and mindfully in the physical world. With every single object that he's destroyed. Like, this one, he awakes. The Circle, Square, and the rest of the Wand Rebellion and Shapeland have no idea what they have done after they destroyed this wand. They have no idea what they've done. And after they destroyed that wand, they just awakened hell itself. It's going to be a fun one. I'm going to be voicing this villain as well as Blue Decagon and an upcoming villain, Red Decagon. He's going to be a main antagonist of something special that I'll announce soon. And I'm going to be voicing him like, let me see. My voice is too tired, but hold on. Let me. I'm going to say basically what one of his famous lines that I hope becomes famous throughout the series. Like, well, hello there, Spear Boy. Spear Boy, yeah, yes. So basically, he's just pure evil. He manipulates. He's everything. Anyway, let's move on to the next slide, shall we? I'm sorry. Anyway, this is where we talked about it. And I can't leave y'all guys hanging for that long without a new Circle and Square footage, so here's a sneak peek at the next episode of Circle and Square, To the Top. Now, remember that you gotta know that there's no sound effects in this at all, due to the fact that I have not mixed any of the sound effects yet. This episode is pretty much done with animation, and sound mixing doesn't take that long, but I can't just mix one piece of I can't just mix one clip, okay? I can't do that. So there's no sound, no music, no sound effects, no nothing. And this episode takes place immediately after the previous episode, The Rebellion. Remember that The Rebellion and To the Top were originally one episode. I just cut them in half. You gotta remember that. It takes place literally immediately. Like, the episode, The Rebellion, ends with Diamond punching the screen. The first frame of the To the Top is just him completing that punch. It's literally immediately after. But enough of me rambling. Here is a sneak peek at the upcoming episode of Circle and Square, To the Top. Ignore that. I just realized that there's no text. So, here, let me help y'all guys. So professional, I know. And that's the sneak peek. I know it's really awkward without sound effects, but what can you do when you got a limited time period to make this presentation so last minute? Anyway, let's talk about it. So, what that sneak peek shows, once again, it's immediately after the events of the rebellion, but basically they flee back to the Triangle's house. That's Triangle's house, not Circle and Square's house. They flee back to Triangle's house, and the Wand Rebellion basically give up hope. Like, they couldn't even put a dent in the Diamond. Like, they beat his ass, sure, but he instantly healed with the wand. Not only was he able to match Tic Tac, which is basically the strongest person in the universe in this series so far. Like, he's stronger than everyone so far. They also forget his name a lot. So sad, but not only was he able to gain the powers of him and match him, he was able to beat him. He's also as tall as the Shapeland Towers now, because it was a last-ditch effort. He grew into a 4-story tall giant. That's scary if you're in that situation. That's fucking scary. Like, it was essentially just jumping a guy on the street and destroying a wand to save the day, but now they have to beat a giant, just a giant with unlimited powers. It's scary if you think about it, and they've given up hope. There's no way back, and then they remember that Rectangle also has a capsule and it has a giant catapult. So they make a plan, and they have a plan to stop the giant diamond, and you get to see this giant diamond soon. But we have a special announcement for Circle and Square, and I think y'all liked it, especially if you're a fan of this series and want to see more adventures from this show. I think you'll like this. Circle and Square Season 2 is now in development. I have the entire series mapped out, actually. I know how it's going to end. I know everything that's coming in between that, except for Season 4, I guess. There's going to be 5 seasons, and Season 4 is an iffy one, but yeah. But Circle and Square Season 2 is officially in development. The first arc will involve everyone going crazy after a taco shortage. And then them having to go to another dimension, which is essentially the human world, to find whoever stole their tacos and cause chaos, yes. And cause Shapeland to go into, like, other food shortage chaos. Because tacos, they're basically their only source of food in the entire land and world and stuff like that. And they're too stubborn to ask another town for food, because nothing can replace the Shapeland taco that Circle makes. It's that important. And we're going to set up how important it is, but they're going to go, it's basically going to be the SpongeBob movie Sponge Out of Water, except with major tweaks to make it not as plagiaristic. But it's basically going to be that. And then the second arc, we're going to use Dodecagon. We're going to finally introduce him. But of course, between those two arcs is going to be that 45-minute crossover with Seaside the series. Remember that. That's what I was talking about earlier. But Circle and Square Season 2 is now in development. I did not click that. Ignore this. It's weird doing this live, but yes. But anyway, You can see the Wand Rebellion take on the Giant Diamond, as well as more adventures coming from Circle and Square when Circle and Square returns on October 28th. That's just in 2 weeks. You finally get to see Circle and Square return, and we're going to go back to monthly / semi-weekly episodes, because the hiatuses are weird. It's weird. Anyway, now it's time for the final announcement. This is the end of the presentation. It's time for the final announcement. So, this summer has been a wild ride. Have I mentioned that this summer has been a wild ride? Summer may be over, but the adventures that came from that summer are not over. If you recall, at the final day of the World of Meli Summer Bash 2017, we released our first World of Meli original movie, the World of Meli movie. It was produced by Frederator Studios. It wasn't actually distributed by Lionsgate, but it was distributed by Federated Studios. They're my boss, basically. And it was fun to make. It was fun to shoot, and y'all loved it. This is one of the most viewed original World of Meli pie. Hello.
Hi.
Howdy do day.
Thanks for asking.
Yes.
Yes.
Howdy do day.
I was gonna come to my bed and take a nap.
No. No. Dang
Thanks
it.
for asking.
No. I feel bad.
You should. You don't ask.
So I guess I'm just gonna end that.